Ever since my motorcycle crash, people have been giving me suggestions on how to get back into motorcycling quickly and easily. And they've had lots of suggestions. Probably one of the most amusing is the suggestion that I get a DCT transmission. Basically, an automatic transmission. They make suggestions like Africa Twin and other bikes that have an automatic transmission because I guess people are confused about which leg I lost in the crash. I think that's the funniest. They've also made suggestions about step-through scooters and things like that, which I haven't ruled out. I like scooters. They're fun to ride. But probably the most common suggestion that I get, and I think it's typically from the people that ride them, is trikes and spiders. Trikes meaning one wheel forward, Spyder type vehicles, the two wheel forward, the more modern of the trike type motorcycle. And I get a lot of those suggestions, and people think that that's a natural progression, I guess, and I get it. But if you know me, you know that that's not really an option. And I want to tell you a few reasons why. Talk about why you're never going to see me on a trike. So stay tuned. Anyone that knows me knows the answer to motorcycle or trike. Anybody that's known me any length of time or hung out with me at a campfire or watched a live stream, they know the answer. You may have seen me riding recently on a off-road Yamaha, but I grew up on 250Rs and things like that, enough to be terrified of them, and I just don't like riding motorcycles or devices like that that are inherently unstable. The day you saw me riding that Yamaha, I had a smile on my face, but mainly because I had some breeze in my face. And I was having fun hanging out with my buddy Luke. But otherwise, I was terrified. Yeah, I'd get the thing up to speed and then go, now what? Because there's a corner coming up. I got to slow way the hell down because this thing's going to roll over me and I'm going to be paralyzed from the neck down. I know guys that have done that. I know guys that have been paralyzed. So it's just, to me, it's not fun. It's not the same as riding a motorcycle. And that's kind of what I want to talk about today is some of the reasons why you're never going to see me on a trike or a Spyder, and some of the reasons maybe you should think about alternatives. But I want to lay a few of those alternatives out today. You may have heard me talking in person or on live stream, but when I'm making a video like this, I have to choose my words very carefully because people get offended. They're easily offended, and I have a very diverse audience. And I don't want to piss portions of my audience off. I've got a lot of people that ride trikes and Spyders that watch my channel. So I don't want to piss them off if I can avoid it. But occasionally things come up where I have to actually speak my mind and, talk about reality. And I'm trying to be very careful because, like I said, I've got a very diverse audience. And on top of that, I try to be very inclusive. I try to welcome everybody. I've got a lot of people that don't even ride motorcycles watching me now because I lost my leg, and apparently that's inspirational to some people. So, yeah, I got to be careful of everything I say now, not just certain types of people that ride certain types of bikes. That's typically what I try to do. I try to be inclusive. I try to welcome everybody. And, I think most of the time I do a pretty good job of not pissing people off, but there's going to be people that are going to be pissed, and there's not much I can do about it. I like to be inclusive. I like everybody to be able to hear my messages. And, if I'm pissing off 10% of my audience, they're probably not going to hear my message. They're going to click off the video, maybe unsubscribe, maybe leave a dirty comment. And that's not really what I'm here to do. I'm not here to piss people off. But I do like to share my strong opinions, and that's what I'm going to do today. You might be hearing some buzzwords like diversity and inclusion, but what you're not going to hear from me today is equity, because motorcycles and trikes are not the same. Just like boys and girls are not the same. We have differences, and that's one of the things that I want to talk about today, the differences between motorcycles and trikes and spiders and all that stuff. So there should be a few things that we can agree upon. Um, Riding a motorcycle is very different than riding a trike or even a spider. Um, Without going into the physics, I think you know what I'm talking about when we start talking about lean angles and how the actual motorcycle turns, initiating a turn, counter steering, all that stuff. It's completely different. They're not the same. Boys and girls are not the same, despite what some people want to tell you. The only thing they really have in common is a handlebar. They both have handlebars. I could put handlebars in my truck, and does that make it a motorcycle? No, it doesn't. The point of this video is not to piss off the trike world. Far from it. I just want to talk about the reasons why trikes are not right for me, and maybe even not for you. I'd hate for somebody to go out and spend 50, 80, $100,000 in a trike and then realize that it's not the right vehicle for them too. So pay attention. First of all, I understand the motivations of people. They're trying to help. They're trying to educate, and they're trying to find a way for me to get back into motorcycling easily. A lot of people have found trikes easier to ride. I think it's just the opposite. Mainly, probably because I like to go fast, and I'm not sure how to go fast on a trike, or at least I haven't figured it out yet. So, but like I said, I do understand the motivation. I do understand people offering the education and helping with options for disabled. It may just be a normal progression for people as they age to look for things that are easier. And I understand it. I think the concept of not having to worry about keeping the bike up right when it comes to a stop, I think that's a pretty powerful option for people that don't have the strength, back problems, hip problems, leg problems like I've got. I understand that motivation. I understand people are trying to help. And like I said before, I think it may be the natural progression as bikers age, and they realize that they're having trouble, especially when they come to a stop and holding the bike up. The heavier the bike, the harder that is going to be. And typically, as bikers grow older, they get bigger, heavier bikes. At least that's my experience. They don't downsize. They don't go from a from a Road King full touring bike down to a scooter or a 200cc motorcycle. They just don't do it. I haven't seen it. Maybe it's happened, but it's very atypical. So instead of downsizing, maybe they upsize. Maybe they add another wheel. That's how they compensate. Instead of looking at something lighter, they look at something that's more stable, at least something they don't have to support at a red light. And it also appears to me, and I could be completely wrong about this, but it appears to me that trike riders are more motivated typically by social factors and identity rather than just wanting to ride, period. It seems to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, if you guys don't, if there's somebody out there that is just into riding, pure riding, not social, not identity, none of that stuff, let me know if I'm wrong. But from what I've seen, that seems to be a very strong driver for folks that are getting beyond the age where they can successfully manage a big 800-pound motorcycle. When they get to that point, they tend to not want to let go and tend to gravitate towards a stable three-wheel machine. That's just my observation. I don't know for a fact, but that's kind of what I see.
more of a driver for the socially connected, the identity driven. What am I going to do if I'm not riding a motorcycle? What am I? Who am I? And where are my friends? And I miss my friends. I mean, maybe that's happened already. And, I don't get to see my friends anymore because I can't ride. Oh, I got an option. I can go take the old Harley down and trade it in for a trike and, upgrade something I can actually get to the bar safely without dropping my big heavy machine. Makes sense. Bottom line is we all ride for different reasons. Social factors and belonging. That's a pretty big thing. Your identity and sense of self, that is huge. If you start losing your identity and your sense of self, who are you? What are you? Where do you belong? What social structure, where do you fit? That's all that is extremely important to a lot of people and maybe most bikers. I don't know. But I know it's very important. It's a very strong motivator. That sense of freedom, or whatever the hell that means.
Freedom.
Freedom. You know what I'm talking about. That feel for the open road. Put your catchphrase here. There's a lot to be said about the thrill and adventure that people seek when they're riding. So, all these different factors and motivators push us in different directions. And I don't know what yours is. For me, riding has always been about balance, bringing my life into balance, or bringing the humors into balance. The old school medical idea of your humors, the fluids in your body that were out of balance when you got ill. And I like that idea of, bringing my black bile into balance with my green bile, or whatever is unbalanced. And motorcycling has always done that for me. Brought my life back into balance. Maybe not so much on a daily schedule, but certainly on a weekly schedule. If I have a tough week, getting on the motorcycle takes care of all my woes. There's no reason to do drugs and drink, and although I still do. It brings my balancing balance into balance. Getting on my motorcycle is like blowing the carbon out of my life. Blowing the carbon out of your exhaust is the same as blowing the carbon out of your life, or at least for me. It's always cleared the stress out of my life very effectively. And the problem I have is trikes have never done that. Nothing with three wheels has ever given me that, and that blast of sanity that I need during moments of insanity. Also, when I'm riding a motorcycle, I feel a connection with nature, and I've never really gotten that while riding three-wheeled machines. I've never gotten that connection. It's never happened. Now, I have gotten a similar connection with nature, sunshine, wind. I have gotten a similar connection driving convertibles. So I kind of see there's a connection there. And that's what I've always thought about when I thought, I get to the point when I can't ride. Well, I've got an option. I know what will get me close. And it's a convertible. And that's what I've always said. It's like, probably never going to see me on a trike, but, a convertible. I completely see, trading in a motorcycle for a convertible. When I get to that point, I've been saying for the last 10, 15 years, when I've started having real problems, physical problems riding, if it comes to the point of a choice between riding and walking, in other words, if I get down to the point where, okay, I've got to make a choice, I can either ride with some aids, or ride with some physical aids, or walk, the ability to be able to walk. If I had to make the choice, I would, without a doubt, within a second, and I would always choose walking. I would rather be able to walk than I would be able to ride. So even if I have to walk 20 miles to get groceries, I would rather be able to walk than ride. because I've seen people with no legs or no use of their legs and riding. I don't want to be that person. I would rather be able to walk than ride. Sounds crazy until you've been in the position that I'm in now. And, it's a lot more real to me than it has ever been. But I've been saying that for a few years. Give me my legs. Give me my legs. Give me my ability to walk. I'll choose that in a heartbeat. So there is my question. Why would anyone choose a trike over a convertible? Like I said before, it's got to be social connection. It's got to be identity. It's got to be something like that, because trikes have all the downsides of motorcycles and very few upsides. If you give it some thought, you really have to think about that for a minute. Let me give you some examples. Trikes are just as dangerous, and maybe even more so, as motorcycles. If you're smart, you're still going to have to wear all that sweaty gear to be safe, to save yourself from the pavement and the impact of your environment, another car, another vehicle. You're still going to be exposed to all the elements. You're exposed to the atmosphere. You don't have any shell around you. There's no airbags. Well, maybe there is. But you could still fall off. You could still go through somebody else's windshield. There's all those dangers still present. And if you're smart, you're still got to wear all the heavy, sweaty gear to protect yourself from the asphalt and the other vehicles that you're going to collide with. And on top of all that, you get the ridiculous expense of trikes and Spyders. I just think they're outrageously priced for what you get compared to a convertible. I mean, you can get a really nice convertible for what you can get a Spyder, a well outfitted Spyder, or a custom trike, whatever. I think those things are just outrageous. I've heard of them things. I've heard of trikes going for $100,000. And maybe it's just people eating stupid people's lunch. I don't know, but I've just never really understood it, because you can get a really nice convertible for $100K. Now, on the upsides, convertibles, you don't have to deal with all the elements if you don't want to. If it's a nice sunny day and you're having a good day rolling down the hills with your wind and your hair in the wind and the sun beating down on you and everything's great, you're getting all the good out of your convertible. But when everything changes, it starts raining or getting cold or really hot, just pull the top up, roll the windows up. Now you're isolated from your environment. Sun starts going down. You don't have another layer to put on when it starts getting cold. No problem. Just turn the heater up a little bit. Yeah, it's a completely different animal in your nice convertible. You have more choices when you have a convertible, because you're driving down the street in your nice sexy car. There's lots of people that might want to jump in there with you, and you've got less people that want to jump on the back of a motorcycle with a hot, sweaty biker. Anyway, just something to think about. And look, I was having fun with all this, bringing up some legitimate points. But if you like riding your trike, you like riding your Spyder, that's all the better, man. That's great. I'm glad you found something that you can do. Don't let me get in the way of it. But I would also suggest that if you haven't made that purchase and you're thinking about it, I would say make some strong considerations. Talk to the guys that are riding them, and ask them the questions about, do you get treated differently now that you're riding a trike or a Spyder? Because I think that's a legitimate question, and I think that's one of the things that nobody ever talks about. Are you treated the same? Are you treated differently? Do people think that you're a real biker still? Do they wave at you? Because I think that's a big thing. It's a pretty big thing. There's a lot of snobbery out there as far as motorcycle, trike, Spyders. But yeah, if that's your thing, go for it. If you're thinking about it, I would say at least consider trading your motorcycle in for a convertible rather than trikes. I just think that's it's a natural progression because people don't know where else to go. They feel like they can't physically ride their motorcycle anymore. I get it, man. Sometimes it's time to quit. And if you can't keep up with the weight of your motorcycle, maybe consider downsizing your motorcycle. It rarely happens. I've rarely seen somebody downsize to a more sensibly sized motorcycle because it's usually all or nothing. I got my big Harley, and that's what I'm going to ride to the day I die. And then when I can't ride it, I'm going to get me a Harley Trike, or I'm going to put the training wheels on this one, or there's this just I can't conceive of going to a scooter. I can't conceive of that. I think that's true for most people. But anyway, just thought I would answer that question and get the real reason out there that you're never going to see me on a trike or a Spyder unless somebody gives me their keys and says, "Go take it for a spin. You're gonna like mine. Mine's different. You're gonna have fun on mine." We'll see if I can get your Spyder up on three wheels. Let's see if I can do that. See ya.